ESG ratings are like opinions. You ask 5 different people, you'll get 5 different opinions, and ESG ratings are very similar.
It's perfectly fine that sophisticated people disagree on sophisticated things.
ESG ratings are largely inconsistent, are very difficult to use, and sometimes misleading.
I would like to leave some room for growth in this area for future.
These ratings can serve as a reliable starting point to understand corporate sustainability behaviors.
To me, it's more like a dream.
I think it's the right initiative, but it's like in Hong Kong especially, I feel like a lot of greenwashing can happen just because it's like the regulations aren't that strict. So a lot of stuff can go under the carpet.
Yeah, definitely. I think for more social and governance, it is true that it can be less stringent. But I think it has been done really well for the environmental factors of Hong Kong. So yeah, I do agree and disagree at the same time.
I think it contributes more to the PR strategies. The companies are using ESG rating as a shiny badge to attract customers, investors, and maybe also talents, even though they don't have really much changes behind the scenes.
Honestly, it's both. The rating pushes company to do better, and of course, company loves looking good for the public.
Well, to be honest, I don't know much about ESG, but I've heard some basic concepts about ESG, like E stands for environmental, and S is social, and G is governance. But like for deeper concepts, those I don't know much about those, yeah.
Well, I think in most of the cases, it's more like a PR tool that allows company to attract customers or investors rather than something that can really drive sustainability.
In our world, different people can have different views because of different innate beliefs, including political beliefs and different life experiences. It is important to note that these views are not mutually exclusive. When it comes to ESG, some firms use ESG ratings as a way to guide their sustainability efforts, whereas some companies use ESG ratings as a PR tool without putting in substantive sustainability efforts. The importance of sustainability ratings is the reason why our institute has invited HKU scholars with different backgrounds to develop ratings. We hope that these ratings will be useful for society and will stimulate more sustainability efforts.
I'm trying to address one of the key challenges in ESG index development, which is how do we give weights to different dimensions of the ratings. So for a firm, they can invest in different dimensions, and also for rating agencies, they value different dimensions. But basically, so far, there is no scientific evidence or scientific support telling people how should we weigh different dimensions.
As you know, I think right now we need a standard, this kind of database or information platform. Currently, those kind of index we are developing is aimed to address this kind of need. My team focused on developing the local energy zone. It's a new idea because we want to audit the carbon emission and also the carbon sink at the entire city level or even regional level.
The primary goal of our index is to identify a gap between consumer perceptions of carbon emissions and actual carbon emissions generated by manufacturers. And our findings indicate that consumers tend to hold a misconception that products delivering pleasure and luxury aspects have greater carbon emissions compared to products focused on utility, usefulness, and functionality. So by identifying this gap, we aim to educate consumers with more accurate information regarding carbon emissions for their better sustainable behavior.
In my index, I'm trying to help people understand what ESG information is important. We have lots of different ratings, lots of different news that covers ESG issues. So the question is, 1, what do people pay attention to? Specifically people who are investors or maybe even investment professionals relevant to ESG. That will allow us to prioritize what types of ESG information investors actually want.
The primary goal of our index is to capture how market participants perceive firm-level climate change exposure. Unlike the traditional ESG rating data, we do not preset any priorities on the sustainability at firm level. We let the market talk. So to achieve this, we look at the earnings conference call transcripts, where managers and market participants share their views about many issues, and we focus on climate change ones. This approach allows us to deliver a time-varying, firm-specific, and transparent measure. So investors can easily go back to the transcripts and look up for what drives our score going up or down. By doing that, we open the black box of ESG or Sustainability Index and allow a know-how approach.
Conventional sustainability ratings try to measure comprehensive corporate sustainability behaviors, while we will focus on the NGO's transparency of their organizations. We are going to collect information about NGOs' transparency and disclosure behaviors, such as whether they publish their annual reports and financial statements on their websites, whether they have a strong social media presence, and whether they have a clear measurement of the impact they create to the society.
I think our index could be used by both corporate leaders and also the government. For corporate leaders, one big application would be that now they understand how the public perceive different dimensions. They would be able to invest in dimensions that the public care more. For government, that's the same. The government can use our results to understand what type of policies and initiatives are more likely to gain public support.
So in the future, we hope we can have this kind of information platform. For the industry, they can refer to this, and then they can have a background information to specifically audit their own site, their own company, or their own industry activities for ESG evaluations.
Our index can be a tool for governments and policymakers by understanding the misconception of consumers regarding carbon emissions and the actual carbon emissions related to various products. Sometimes the gap between these two can be small or big. By understanding these dynamics, policymakers can implement more effective incentives or regulations that can help their sustainable practices.
I think there are multiple applications for firms who are thinking about how to improve their ESG policies, understanding what investors and specifically investment professionals who think about ESG a lot, what they're actually concerned with, will help firms prioritize their sustainability investment efforts. And for investors, understanding what firms are paying attention to in terms of their sustainability efforts will also help them understand which firms are making serious efforts to improve their ESG policy.
So I think our index can be applied by both investors and regulators. For investors, it is very natural for them to take our index to construct a real-time portfolio strategy that consider climate change-related risks, as well as climate-related opportunities. For regulators, it's going to be very easy for them to aggregate our firm-level data to the market level, so they can know relative to other factors that firms and market participants care about, like economic growth, how important climate change should be.
I think our index can apply in three major ways. First is for the donors and funders. For major institutions like Jockey Club and other foundations, our index will help them to foster their due diligence process, but also for individual donors like you and me, we will help you to identify the high integrity NGOs. Second is for the policymakers. The policymaker can rely on the information of our index to potentially strengthen the specific disclosure requirement. And lastly, but I think it's also very important, is for the NGOs themselves. We can serve as a benchmark for them to understand their current governance structure and help them to make future improvement.
Sustainability is an important issue and is likely to remain an important issue for many organizations. Our institute has put in a lot of efforts with the help of our academics to produce sustainability ratings. Our institute will continue putting in efforts to make sure to develop ratings that would be useful for society. Please stay tuned for our further efforts.